March 12th, 3:35 p.m., Flight G390, lower deck cargo hold. Miss Meele. Miss Meele!
Huh?
Do you recall what you said earlier about when you answered some service calls as we were departing from Zhangfa?
Huh?
You said that Mr. Hicks was sitting in his seat at the time. However, that is simply not possible, because Mr. Hicks was dead long before we ever touched down in Zhangfa.
Oh.
Miss Cammy Meele.
Maybe I didn't see what I thought I did.
No one could make a mistake so large, Miss Meele.
But I make that kind of boo-boo all the time. This is going nowhere. There must be a better way of resolving this contradiction.
Very well. Miss Meele, if you please, tell me about your alibi during the time span. From just before we were to land at 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. when the body was found.
Are you telling me I'm a suspect, Mr. Edgeworth? Argument. Miss Meele's alibi. Yeah. From 3 to 4, I was, in the flight attendant's room all by my lonesome self. Yeah. And from 5 to 6, I was, in the flight attendant's room all by my lonesome self.
How is a man supposed to react to a testimony like that? Miss Meele, wake up! She fell asleep again. It looks like the only way I'm going to be able to wake her up is by pressing her. Yeah, this chick's got issues.
Yeah. From 3 to 4, I was, in the flight attendant's room all by my lonesome self. Yeah. And from 5 to 6, I was, in the flight attendant's room all by my lonesome self.
So you were alone the entire time, were you?
Yeah. No one else even popped their head in to say hi.
Oh, well, I think a contradiction just popped in to say hi. What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Miss Meele, there is a clear contradiction embedded in your testimony.
Huh? What are you talking about?
It's not possible that you were alone in the attendance room the whole time from 5 to 6 a.m. Why is that? Simple. The suitcase receipt.
Take that!
I wonder if you would be so kind as to take a look at this receipt, Miss Meele.
Huh? A receipt? For what?
It's for the suitcase Miss Tenero bought. Now, if I may direct your attention to the timestamp, as you can see, it clearly says 5:40 a.m. Miss Tenero.
Yes? Huh? Why is the killer here? I thought you have Laver locked up by now.
I requested that she be present as a witness so that we may straighten out your complex lie. Now then, Miss Tenero, between the hours of 5 and 6 a.m., you took a trip from first class down to the first floor in-flight shop, correct?
Yes, I went to the shop to buy a suitcase, after which I went straight to the attendant's room to drop it off.
And did you see Miss Meele there at that time?
No.
So, Miss Meele, where were you really between the hours of 5 and 6 a.m.? Miss Cammy Meele!
Huh? The bathroom?
I'll be the one to ask the questions here.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I probably just missed her. Nature calls, you know.
Do you take me for a fool? That's a little too convenient to be true.
But it's the truth. Cross my heart.
I don't have enough conclusive proof to counter-argue her at this stage.
You don't believe me, do you? But please, won't you give me a chance and hear me out?
Part 2.
Reasons for suspicion. Look, I know you're suspecting me because I'm one of the crew. But you think that maybe you should also suspect Miss Rhoda, too. She's the one in charge of the elevator keycard and the shop, you know. If you ask me, that makes her super suspicious.
Please leave Miss Tenero out of the conversation. Only you are under suspicion for now.
I don't get it. Why are you covering for Miss Rhoda all of a sudden? Oh, now I get it. Maybe you've got your eye on Miss Rhoda.
Of course I'm keeping an eye on her. I can't very well let her escape, can I?
Never mind. But you want to know something? Miss Rhoda actually kind of I have absolutely no interest in people who can appreciate my sense of design.
Now's not the time for this sort of talk. Time for the rebuttal and the counterattack.
Look, I know you're suspecting me because I'm one of the crew. But you think that maybe you should also suspect Miss Rhoda, too. She's the one in charge of the elevator keycard in the shop, you know.
And what are you in charge of, Miss Meele?
I take care of the attendance room.
That doesn't count!
But I spend so much time in there, it may as well be my responsibility. Mr. Edgeworth, Cammy is very talented in languages, so she assists passengers who may not speak English, especially those who speak Borginian. She's the only one on this flight who is fluent. Oh, you mean that kind of what am I in charge of? Why didn't you say so in the first place?
What else could I have meant?
Yeah, so I'm really good at Borginian.
She's fluent in Borginian? Then I suppose you're in charge of processing documents in Borginian?
Yeah, I take care of anything that has to do with Borginian.
Very interesting.
If you ask me, that makes her super suspicious. All I'm in charge of are the attendance room and some Borginian stuff.
Okay, if you're in charge of Borginian stuff, then can you please explain this?
Objection!
So you are the only one in this flight crew that speaks Borginian. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I studied abroad in Borginia for a while.
If that is the case, then the signature on this document belongs to you, doesn't it?
Huh?
This is a falsified piece of documentation with only one purpose: to lead anyone who read it to believe that Mr. LeBlanc's statue was loaded in Europe. The only person who could have either prepared or processed this document in Borginian is you, Miss Meele. Without your participation, the smuggling of the Elite Red could not have occurred. Don't sleep while I'm pointing my finger at you.
Oh, I wouldn't dream of falling asleep on you, Mr. Edgeworth. It is exactly as you say.
Are you confessing to having participated in the smuggling?
No, far from it. It's true that I was the one who signed off on that document. But you can't use that fact alone to make your allegation of smuggling stick. There is no direct correlation, after all. All you have is my signature on a piece of paper.
Really? All you did was sign it?
I neglected to check if the cargo had been loaded onto the plane properly. So, sorry about that.
It seems that she's finally woken up. This is going to be one tough fight.
Suppose, and this is just a supposition, even if I was involved in the smuggling, you can't throw the charge of murder on me just like that.
Objection!
If you were involved in the smuggling, you would have a strong motive to kill. Agent Hicks was in the middle of an investigation regarding a smuggling ring, and just when he was about to close in, he's killed by a member of that ring. Well, did you ever stop to think that maybe Rhoda is the smuggling ring member? After all, unlike me, Rhoda has access to many things on this plane for work purposes.
So perhaps there is some element of a setup at play in this case. What are you talking about? Don't worry, I wasn't talking about you. I meant the killer. First, it was myself, and now it's Mr. Nero who is under the microscope. Seems to me that our killer is going to great lengths to pin this crime on anyone they can.
You have no proof that Rhoda is being set up, or that she isn't.
Actually, I believe that she was indeed the intended target from the very beginning. I believe that the plan was to push all the blame for the crime onto her, and this evidence will prove my suspicions. This proves that the killer was out to frame Miss Tornero from the very beginning. The iFly, or rather Go You suitcase.
Take that!
The killer could have hidden the body anywhere, and yet they chose the suitcase. Why is that? Perhaps it was to move the body up from the lower deck to the first floor. However, why go through the trouble to do so? The only way all of these actions make sense is if the killer had wanted to frame Miss Ternero for the murder. Miss Ternero buys a suitcase on every flight she works without fail. but should her suitcase be switched with the one containing the victim's body, that would put her in a very tight spot. Unfortunately for the killer, the turbulence put an end to that plan. There wasn't enough time to put the body back into the suitcase. Ergo, they made do with whoever was at hand, adapted their plan, and tried to frame me as I lay unconscious on the floor from the turbulence. The killer then went to hide the suitcase in the in-flight shop, and brought the piggy bank back to the elevator in order to fabricate a false weapon. A lot of work for a fruitless endeavor, wouldn't you agree?
Sounds like the killer had a tough time too, huh? I mean, why did the killer need to frame someone that badly anyway?
That is because of the special circumstances surrounding this particular case. What special circumstances dictated the need for the killer to frame someone? Where the murder took place? The special circumstance is simply that the murder took place mid-flight. No matter which country, customs is quite strict in this day and age. So no matter what you do, the chances that the body will be found is very high. Therefore, there was no choice but to frame either Miss Ternero or myself. In other words, the only one who fits within the boundaries of the criminal's movement is not Miss Ternero or myself, but you, Miss Cammy Meele. Only you and you alone could be the killer.
And... Are you done already? I was about to fall asleep again. Anyway, let's be honest here. You don't have anything on me other than a whole lot of circumstantial evidence.
I can see the outline of how the murder occurred, but I have no definitive evidence. And isn't there a piece of evidence that's still unaccounted for? Something that I still can't quite fit into the big picture? Yeah, the missing cell phone! I don't have any actual evidence.
I thought not.
But that's because it went missing and still is.
Missing? What do you mean by that?
In the complex puzzle that is this case, there was one piece I kept getting stuck on, and that is the victim's cell phone. Francisca, you were waiting at the airport for a phone call from Agent Hicks' cell phone. Or at least, that's what you told me.
That's right.
But Agent Hicks' cell phone could not be found at the crime scene.
You mean the killer took the phone with them?
Precisely. I suspect that if we were to find that phone, it would lead us to the killer.
Come on, get serious. If the victim fell to his death from that height, wouldn't his phone break as well?
We won't know that until we try a little experiment, will we? Francisca, I'd like to ask for your assistance. You know the victim's phone number, do you not?
Of course I do.
Agent Hicks' phone! It's ringing from somewhere, sir! I hear it, Detective. Now where is it coming from? We'll need to head to the flight attendant room. March 12th, 4:12 p.m. Flight G390, first floor, flight attendant's room. The ring is coming from somewhere in here, sir. Leave no stone unturned, Detective Gumshoe. We must find it. The ringing's coming from in here, sir. What? No, it can't be. This has got to be the victim's cell phone. Just whose locker is this, sir? It's Miss Tenero's. What? Something's not right here. March 12th, 4:28 p.m. Flight G390, lower deck, cargo hold.
So, Mr. Edgeworth, how did it go? Where did you find the phone?
I found it in the flight attendant's room, in Miss Tenero's locker.
What? But Rhoda Ternero. I don't know anything about the phone. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Miss Von Karma, is it? I suggest you arrest Miss Rhoda Ternero right away.
Wait, I have a theory. This is related to the incident with the keycard. When the killer went to steal the keycard, they conveniently stashed the cell phone in Miss Tenero's locker at the same time.
This is related to that keycard, all right. In the same way that we have zero proof that the killer did just that. The only voice that sings the truth is evidence. That is the one bird we cannot ignore.
What should I do? Francisca's right. I can't offer baseless conjecture at this point. Alright then, why did the culprit take the cell phone from Agent Hicks? It must have something very incriminating on or in it.
Hold it!
What now, Miles Edgeworth?
It's not over yet. We have yet to figure out why the killer took the phone.
What?
Inside this phone lies the final piece of incriminating evidence that will point us to our killer. We need to examine this phone in more detail. For starters, the hell, it's cracked! The LCD is broken. Without a screen, you can't even place a call with this. Exactly. But hello! Ah, it's a camera lens. Come to think of it, I wonder, how exactly was Agent Hicks planning to preserve the crime scene of a smuggling? Francisca, I need you to confirm something. This cell phone, can it take pictures? Mr. Edgeworth, I can't believe you don't know about this kind of basic stuff, sir.
This looks like a very similar model to my own, and mine can take photos just fine.
Do you think Agent Hicks could have taken some pictures with this? In particular, pictures as evidence for his smuggling case. If so, I'd say there may be some very inconvenient photos in here for our killer smuggler. But the phone's all busted up, sir.
Even a super prosecutor can't repair a broken phone.
I'll find a way. Don't you worry about that.
May I go back to sleep now?
Objection!
The LCD screens on the inside and outside are broken, that's for sure. But that's also reason enough to believe that the killer wasn't able to erase the data.
What? What do you mean by that, Francisca?
It looks like your killer isn't very familiar with electronics. This phone still rang when I called it, meaning that only the LCD screens are broken. It's possible that the photos are still there inside, waiting to be accessed. All we need to do is transfer the data to my phone.
Francisca, your phone if you please.
Very well. It's transferring. Alright, displaying it now.
This is...
Agent Hicks was most certainly trying to obtain some evidence for his smuggling case.
Hey! The Elite Red's nowhere in this pic, sir!
But this has no meaning as a piece of evidence in this murder case, right?
Ouch! She's right. There's not much we can find out from this about Agent Hicks' killer, sir. Is this it? Is this the end? Is there really nothing in this photo that we can use? You mean the 4 boxes right here, maybe? What's all this? Oh, they are a cargo ship from Bourgogne to Zhangfa. So the reason they aren't here now is that they were dropped off in Shangfa. Mr. LeBlanc, can you tell me the contents of the boxes? Unfortunately, there is no English written on them anywhere. One cluster of boxes is written in Bourgogne. It says... It is cloth in English. Cloth? Could it be? Is this where the killer... What? What for is that scary face? Miss Meele.
Yes?
It appears that Agent Hicks was no ordinary investigator. He left us with a piece of evidence after all. A striking piece that will point out who his killer is.
Ha! Maybe you shouldn't force your mistaken reading of a simple picture, Mr. Edgeworth.
The Bourguignon cargo in this piece of evidence will point us straight to the killer. Simple. The Bourguignon cloth.
Take that!
And what is that supposed to prove?
The killer used this piece of cloth to wipe up the blood they had spilt. But there was one thing that bothered me this whole time. Where did it come from? And now I have finally found my answer in this very photo. The cargo that was unloaded in Shangfa had cloth written on it. In Bourguignon, that is. And this is where the killer grabbed the piece from to clean up the blood with. That's right. the killer was someone who could read and understand Borginian. And the only crew member that fits that description is you, Miss Cammy Meele.
Ha! That's pretty flimsy. The killer probably searched through all the boxes looking for something to use. When you're frantic, you don't care if the box is in English or Borginian.
Sorry, but I cannot agree with your assessment of the killer's indiscriminate nature.
What?
There was no need for the killer to tear through boxes at random at all. And if the killer supposedly could not comprehend Borginian, well then. Logically, the killer would have opened this box first. The bed sheets. Hey, it says bed sheets in English right on the box, sir. Precisely. And bed sheets would be perfect for cleaning up blood, wouldn't you say?
So what are you trying to say?
That if I were the criminal, this box of bed sheets would have been what I would have spotted first.
However, the killer chose to use some Borginian cloth. Do you have an explanation for that?
The killer didn't want anyone to know that the real scene of the crime was this cargo hold, so they were afraid to leave signs that the box for the sheets had been opened. However, the Borginian cloth? Well, that's a horse of a different color.
Because the killer knew that it was going to be unloaded in the Republic of Zhangfa.
That's right. That is why the Borginian cloth was used. And the only Borginian reader on board who can make such a calculated decision is you, Cammy Meele. You and you alone.
Yeah.
It would be very easy for us to confirm if any of the boxes were resealed. All we would have to do is contact the Zhangfa authorities in time. We may even find other evidence to incriminate our killer within those boxes. So what do you say, Miss Meele? Why not confess to your crime here and now? Or would you rather wait and see what we find out from our investigation in Zhangfa?
He was Interpol. I couldn't stop it. I brought him here. He started taking pictures. I couldn't be found out. I was scared. I was in trouble.
March 12th, 5:26 p.m., Flight G390 First Floor Lounge. We finished making all the arrangements to take the suspect in, sir. Very good, Detective. What about that smuggling route? Did she say anything about that? They're taking her down to the precinct now. Hopefully we can get more out of her there. Whenever we even approach the topic, she just started foaming at the mouth. It was scary, sir. She probably wasn't prepared to commit a murder all of a sudden. One thing is for sure, the ring behind this whole mess means serious business. It looks like there's a lot more to this case than meets the eye.
Mr. Edgeworth, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate everything you did. Thank you very much.
It was nothing. In fact, I should be the one thanking you for your cooperation.
But truly, if it wasn't for you, I might not be here right now. Instead, I can continue to serve our passengers as a flight attendant. I hope that, well, please accept this as a token of my appreciation.
That's...
I see. You don't have to take it if you don't want it.
No! I mean, I would never turn down a lady's generous offer.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure it will serve you well. And remember, we here at GoU Airlines are always ready to serve, Mr. Edgeworth.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
Now I must bid you farewell. May all your skies be blue, no matter where you go.
I can't believe we wound up investigating the whole day, sir. But boy, was it fun. Speak for yourself. My day was filled with earthquakes, elevators, and false charges. By the way, where's Francisca? Oh, she's filling out some customs paperwork for her departure. Departure? Yeah, Miss Von Karma's always really busy, sir. She's been flying from country to country to chase down some leads regarding her case. Detective, can you cancel the car I had you reserve earlier? You got it, sir. March 12th, 5:47 a.m., Hope Springs Airport. Francisca.
I thought I told you when you first landed. I have no time for idle chatter.
I have no intention of wasting your time, however. It has been a while since we last met.
I also have no time for such familiar reminiscences. Just who do you think I am?
You are Francisca Von Karma, a very proud prosecutor deserving of much respect.
Until only a little while ago, I was but a wretched mutt who was always losing to you. A dancing pirate, living her life on the name and fame her invincible father built.
True. Your father, Manfred Von Karma, didn't lose a single case for 40 years as a prosecutor. However, I wouldn't say he was invincible.
What are you talking about? The group I'm on the trail of is a little more troublesome than most. The smuggling route we found this time is only one sliver of the big picture.
Sounds like a dangerous assignment.
You really don't have to worry. I can take care of myself.
Yes, I suppose you can.
Plus, there is another agent on this case with me.
Oh, another agent?
He's a star among Interpol agents and has the highest successful arrest rate. Who knows? You may even run into him one day.
I was simply caught up in this one case. I hardly see why we would cross paths.
I suppose, but I doubt he would say the same.
I'm not following you.
You'll understand soon enough. The fight has only just begun, Miles Edgeworth. I'll be back in this country soon enough. And when I am, you can be sure I'll pay you back. In full.
And just like that, she's gone, huh, sir? Thank goodness. I can finally rest easy knowing I won't have to watch out for her whip. Detective Gumshoe, I want to thank you for all your help and cooperation. Oh, it was nothing, sir. I was just happy to be able to work with you again. I think I'm gonna celebrate by adding a little extra salt to my instant noodles tonight. Just how much did you cut his salary by, Francisca? Detective, I was wondering if you might give me a ride down to the prosecutor's office. Sure thing, sir. I'll even fly down the road in the patrol car if you want. Don't make me remind you, Detective. Safety first. Thus, I solved the first case upon my arrival home. Francisca Von Karma, the smuggling route she was after. The leaders of that ring had already put their trump card into play. And the players on the other side of this war, they would begin to make themselves known through the next incident. Edgeworth speaking. Ah, finally. I called who knows how many times earlier, but I couldn't get through. And you are? Ah, have you forgotten my voice, Miles, my boy? Mr. Amano. Ernest Amano, correct? Ah, so you do remember me. I know it's rather sudden, but I can't ask this of anyone else. There's been an incident, Miles. My son, he's been kidnapped. What a way to end this episode on, I swear. It's like, what, 3 videos I've done already now? Either way, I will see you in the next episode, where we move on and begin Case 3, the Kidnapped Turnabout. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button. It means a lot. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell. I will see you then. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. Product provided by CAPCOM.